We want to welcome those viewers on ESPNU who just saw Arkansas knock off LSU 4-0. Kansas State on top of Baylor. The Bears 3-8 in league play. They've lost 4 straight at home. Marcus Foster, the reigning National Freshman of the Week, misfires from downtown. There's the lob to Jefferson, and Baylor on the board.
Scott Drew likes that energy, and Bruce Weber was talking about that this morning. We just don't play with that same sense of urgency, that same effort and energy on the road that we do at home.
Tim, how does Kansas State want to attack Baylor's zone?
They want to go inside, shrink it, and then go outside and attack the baseline just like they did there.
Gibson can't get the bounce. Cherry keeps it from going out of bounds. Baylor head coach Scott Drew told us Kenny Cherry's at about 90%. Cherry's been battling turf toe. He played 22 minutes in the midweek win against TCU, but had only played a combined 20 minutes the previous 2 games and actually missed the Oklahoma State game 2 weeks ago. Cherry no good from downtown. Wesley Iwundu, the freshman, with the rebound.
Cherry's so important because he's the only natural point guard.
Here's Cherry leading the break. And one. A good sign for Baylor. Kenny Cherry looks to be okay. Tied at 4 at the under-16. 4-4 early on Kansas State and Baylor. The Bears trying to snap a 4-game home losing streak. Baylor just 3-8 in league play entering this one. Anish Shroff alongside former Providence head coach Tim Welsh. Kansas State comes into this game having beaten Kansas and Texas, the top 2 teams in the Big 12. For Baylor at 3-8 in league play, the time is now. Well,
there's 2 things that's going on. Kansas State is in the hunt to win this league again, and Baylor is on their last breath. There's no question about it. They have to get to 8 wins to even be considered to get into the tournament, and so far Kansas State has done a good job against the 2-3 zone of Baylor, probing, going inside, shrinking the defense, getting the ball in good scoring areas, and Baylor has scored in transition. In the half court, though, they've struggled against Kansas State's pressure.
Kansas State very good defensively, and Baylor, one thing to watch in this game, Baylor shoots the 3-point shot real well, better than 40% on the season. Kansas State defends the 3 better than anybody in the Big 12.
Well, Kansas State gets into you. They make no bones about how they're going to play you. They get up and body blast you on the perimeter. You've got to be strong with the basketball, have good spacing, drive their defense, and shrink it, and then kick out if you're going to get good threes.
Some subs in. Nigel Johnson into the game for Kansas State. Omari Lawrence also in, as is DJ Johnson. The bench was big for K-State in the win Monday night against Kansas. 30 bench points from the Wildcats. Johnson to beat the shot clock, no good. And Royce O'Neal tracks down the board.
That might have been the worst possession against the zone. They never really got into anything. They kind of held the ball. They overloaded, they crowded the floor on one side and never got spaced or any energy with the ball inside.
There's the lob to Austin, too strong, but a foul underneath. Bruce Weber, the reigning Big 12 Coach of the Year. He's now won that honor in 3 different conferences. Also did it in the Missouri Valley and the Big 10 with Illinois.
I think Bruce has found a home in Manhattan where he's appreciated, and finally people understand this guy is a heck of a great coach, and this guy has been nothing but brilliant here at Baylor, Scott Drew.
He has put this program, quite frankly, on the map. Austin gets 1 out of 2. Free throw woes have been a big part of Baylor's struggles in conference play. Able to get away with it in non-conference, where the Bears went 12-1 as Johnson turns it over. But in conference play, it's cost him a few times.
Well, I think Scott Drew understands. You know, Nigel Johnson is a solid point guard, but Javon Thomas has not played as of late. We'll see if he will play tonight at all. He didn't play in the Kansas game, but kind of shorten the rotation. But without Southwell tonight, looks like Southwell may not play. He's dressed, but may not play. It may go to Thomas because of lack of depth.
After that turnover, Johnson comes out. Marcus Foster back in. Rico Gathers, who's a beast down low, wearing number 2 for Baylor, into the game for the Bears. He's an absolute rebounding machine as Austin shuffled his feet.
It's going to be difficult for Isaiah Austin to make that move against a set defense. He's 2-3 dribbles from the wing. He's got to have a little bit more space, but really Baylor wants to go inside tonight. They want to attack Kansas State. They're going to have to space the floor and try to pitch it in and go to the rim.
Taurean Prince checks into the game, the sophomore from San Antonio. Kansas State has missed its last 5 from the field. Nice shot on the inside by Nino Williams. He had 8 points in 20 minutes off the bench against Kansas.
Good execution by Kansas State again. They set that little inside screen, pinning down the middle of Baylor's zone for that easy bucket. Real good sets.
3 not there for Heslop. He's the Big 12's top 3-point shooter. Jefferson on the inside had it knocked away, but last touch, Omari Lawrence in Kansas State.
You see Kansas State, what they're going to do, they're going to attack the inside of the zone. And what they do on ball reversal, they just pin the backside of the zone. You see DJ Johnson just holding off his man to allow one-on-one coverage on ball side.
Heslop from the corner, way off. Here's Spradley. Foster, his pass picked off.
Well, Kansas State is not letting Brady Heslop breathe. They are staying attached. Will Spradley, if he comes off a screen and gets loose, someone is jumping out into his chest.
Prince turns it over, so Kansas State gets it back.
It looked like it might have been deflected here, or did he just lose the ball? No, he just lost it on his own. Again, that's Kansas State's MO. They're going to get up in your chest, make you make a play off the bounce.
Marcus Foster, a freshman with 34 points in a home win against Texas last week. Spradling lines up the 3, in and out. And the rebound by Rico Gathers. Gathers better than 7.5 rebounds per game. He does that in less than 20 minutes per game. Cherry all the way to the basket, trying to use the window. Tap comes to Foster. K-State with numbers. Lawrence leading the break. And one as he's fouled by Prince.
Kansas State has mixed and matched their game, but best way to score against the zone is get down the floor and beat the zone before it gets set. And terrific play here by Omari Lawrence, just the finish, toughness at the rack.
Lawrence came to Kansas State by way of St. John's, where he started his collegiate career. He graduated last May, currently working on a master's degree in family studies. And Lawrence, just a 61% free throw shooter, misses.
Well, the early take on this game from this chair is that defense is going to win out. Kansas State's defense is harassing. It's going to give Baylor a lot of problems to score.
Jumper good by the senior Corey Jefferson.
And Kansas State has not faced a lot of zone this year. Only TCU basically plays zone, all zone in this conference. So right now they're just trying to get a feel of how to attack and where they feel comfortable, where they're going to get their shots.
Javon Thomas, who did not play against Kansas, into the game for K-State. Offensive rebound, DJ Johnson down low, and a foul against Baylor and Corey Jefferson.
Javon Thomas is in the game now for Kansas State, and his duty running the point is to try to get into those gaps and make a smart play. And he missed the whole, basically the first semester of the season. So his feel for some of these games as they get into tight conference battles, changing defenses, recognition of and feel for what you're supposed to do is not always there, but Bruce Weber has them in the game to energize on offense and chase Cherry down on defense.
There was an eligibility issue with Thomas, and part of the problem, Tim, was that not only couldn't Thomas play, he could not practice while he was ineligible. There's Gary Franklin, kicks to O'Neal. Entry pass out of bounds to Kansas State. Tim said it, defense has dominated so far, but Corey Jefferson knocking down the jumper off the feed from Kenny Cherry. 10 in the regular season in the Big 12. They've got a chance to get into the NCAA tournament. I think he's got a point when you look at how good the Big 12 has been this season.
Well, coaches at this time of year try to spin in their mind always the positive, because that's the only way you can sleep. And the only way you can get up and come face your team every day is to give them that hope. And Scott Drew is the eternal optimist, and why not? This team has played well. They've shown that they can play with anybody. It's just this league is very unforgiving. But he pointed to Illinois a year ago. It was 8-10 in the Big Ten and got in as well. But they've got to go do it now. They've got to go do it. They've got to play better, more consistently. And having Cherry back at full strength or almost full strength is so important, because that makes everybody better. He's their only natural point guard.
Yeah, only point guard on the roster. And for Baylor last year, it was a reversal. They started 5-1 in Big 12 play before stumbling to a 9-9 finish in conference. Baylor ends up going to the NIT, ends up winning the NIT. Hey, that's great, first postseason title, but no team wants to defend its NIT championship.
No, and as an old wise coach once whispered to me, it's how you finish. Keep them happy at the end, because they never remember the beginning. So the middle has been disastrous for Baylor, but they still have a chance, and tonight they're playing with a lot of energy.
Javon Thomas is fouled, and he will shoot 2. Free throws have been tough for Thomas on the season. 10 for 32. That is 31%. Foul is on Gary Franklin, his first, team's third.
That's kind of an unnecessary foul. Thomas has knocked that shot down very often. Even from the floor, he's only 26% on the season. But that quickness sometimes, you get that blow-by ability. You just got to play the angles and back up.
Thomas didn't play against Kansas on Monday. Last Saturday against Texas, only played 3 minutes. They see him as the point guard of the future. It's probably going to be next year and beyond. Bruce Weber was saying he just hasn't played well, behind on so many things because of the eligibility issue, not being able to practice with the team, and he's lost a little bit of confidence.
Well, you know, on defense, only as good as your weakest link, and he's great on the ball. You see him not just harassing out there at the top on Gary Franklin, but off the ball, he's out of position quite a bit because he's still trying to grasp it.
Nice move by Jefferson down low, and we're tied at 10. Foster thought about it, but Franklin closed quick. Off the screen from Gibson, Foster fires, no good. O'Neal the rebound. O'Neal had Jefferson in the post. Franklin leaves for Austin, he lost it. Foster bumped, no foul.
Austin has to slow down on that catch. He had a lane to the rim. He just tried to dribble it too quickly before he had control.
O'Neal saves another over and back.
Baylor should go at Brady Hessel, run a little double, see if Foster can handle it.
Jefferson from the baseline. The jump shot's been working for him. Tip, no good. Thomas baseline, leaves it for Johnson. Nice feed that time by the freshman Javon Thomas.
Sometimes when you're on the road, you need to change things up, and Javon Thomas giving Bruce Weber a lot of energy here in the first half off the bench.
Will Spradlin getting ready to check in for Kansas State. .15 to shoot. Austin, big height advantage. Franklin now for 3. It will be Kansas State ball. Last touch, Baylor. Tomorrow night on ESPNU, a college hoops doubleheader. Notre Dame and BC at 6 Eastern. BC winless in February, 0-4. Notre Dame coming off a win Tuesday night against Clemson. And then at 8, it's Colorado and USC. Colorado right now one of Joe Lunardi's bubble teams.
Very soft bubble by Joe. I'm surprised at his...
That's not his fault.
Openness. Oh, yeah. I blame Joe for all of this stuff.
It is a weak bubble, and that gives teams like Baylor hope down the stretch as Johnson beats Austin for 2. DJ Johnson.
Well, absolutely. Teams that you thought a couple weeks ago had no chance are in the mix, like West Virginia is playing excellent basketball right now.
Jefferson for 3. And rebound tapped out of bounds by Gibson, so Baylor will keep it.
Kansas State just understanding how to beat this zone, and you must cut and make that extra pass. Draw the defense in, and then shovel it in on the backside when the vacuum opens.
Cherry the lob to Jefferson. He couldn't corral it. And Kansas State will get it up by 4. 8:54 to go in the half.
Well, the pressure of Kansas State is bothering Baylor right now. Baylor's just kind of standing around. They need to get a little bit more movement. And Cherry's got to try to create off the bounce. That's been their problem when they don't score. They don't have a lot of creativity in the lane to draw the defense and create open opportunities.
There's the sleeveless Will Spradlin. Much better player since he had to lose the T-shirt. And a traveling violation down low, so another turnover. Sloppy first half so far, Tim.
Well, it's really what we thought. We watched the first 2 or 3 minutes. It's both teams playing their style, and it's a defense-oriented style. K-State up in your chest, physical, and Baylor playing that defense that you don't see, and Kansas State kind of looking at it and struggling to get good movement and get opportunity against it.
O'Neal's got to go a timeout with the full court pressure from Kansas State. And Scott Drew will talk it over with his team. Early on, Baylor 4 of 14 from the field, 0 for 6 from downtown. The Bears, the top 3-point shooting team in the Big 12. Tim, what's in today's Welsh Watch?
Well, it's about Baylor and their sense of urgency. It's really a do-or-die game. It's a play-out game for them unless they can run the table. But if they don't win tonight, they're not running the table because they've got to just start playing better. They've lost 4 in a row on this court. Why aren't they playing better at home? They've got to come out more focused on the offensive end of the floor and get going defensively and create some opportunities in transition.
You look at Baylor's resume, BPI 57, RPI 53. Those numbers have to be better to have a chance to get into the field of 68. Schedule strength helps. They do have some good non-conference wins, Colorado and Kentucky. They won at Oklahoma State, although that win may not look so good come Selection Sunday. And that loss to Texas Tech actually looks better now than it did when it happened.
But the problem is the 4 home losses. And it's just hard to make up for that in any league. I don't care what league you're in, but this league is just a bear to go on the road. So it's not to say you have to go undefeated at home, but losing 4 puts yourself in such a big hole that you've got to just get red hot down the stretch. And right now Baylor, I don't know if they've got it offensively. That's the problem. They just are struggling against this K-State defense to get any open looks. I think they've got to go inside. They've got to go try to get some post-ups, get into the lane. Right now everything's been from the perimeter.
It looked like Kenny Cherry had a cut. He gets taped up. K-State sticking with the press. Cherry clears down the lane. Austin over Gibson. Tipped by Gathers, not there, and the rebound to a Wondu.
The big fella has to finish that. He just rose up at a point-blank range. Got to use the glass.
Baylor now 4 of 15 from the field. Here's Foster. And that's good. Nino Williams from the baseline.
That was created by Marcus Foster. A point guard like skill and mentality driving in. I thought he was just going to take it to the rack, but made the extra pass. And Williams' sense of direction and feel to step out to the baseline.
K-State on an 8-2 run. Austin can't get the bounce. Sprattling from the corner. Three-pointer no good. Cherry pulls up. Back iron. Nothing falling for Baylor. And Foster called for palming. Kansas State just 1-4 on the road. Up by 6.
In the second half.
All right, thank you, Matt. With Tim Welsh and Ish Rob, Tim, you coached for Jim Boeheim. Syracuse 11-0 in the ACC. They play at Duke next Saturday. Is that when the undefeated season ends?
They better be careful today. NC State's pretty good. And it's one of those games that, you know, NC State comes in day of game, not really ready, but they're showing they can play a little bit. And Syracuse, after that big win over Pitt, maybe a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, how about the shot Tyler Ennis hit the other night? Meanwhile, shots just not falling for anybody so far. K-State 7 of 17. For Baylor especially, 4 of 18 from the field. The Bears have gone more than 4 minutes since their last field goal. As you see for the game, 11 made field goals, 12 turnovers. Cherry for 3. That doesn't go. Heslip's got a good look. O'Neal able to save it. And a timeout by Scott Drew and Baylor. Good hustle that time by Royce O'Neal, the junior, out of nearby Killeen, Texas. ESPN is a proud partner in the Play for K initiative, which raises money and awareness for breast cancer. And tomorrow it's a women's college basketball doubleheader at 1. Florida takes on SEC rival Georgia at 3:30. 4th-ranked Louisville visits Memphis. UConn and Notre Dame on the women's side appear to be on yet another collision course.
How come they don't play? They were in the same league for 100 years. Now they don't play. I got to get those two coaches together for coffee. Come on, we want to see that game.
UConn 25-0, Notre Dame 24-0.
We put that on the network, wouldn't we? UConn, Notre Dame,
think so,
women?
yeah.
I'd tune in.
Tell you what, Baylor's got a pretty good women's team. Odyssey Sims.
UConn was here earlier this year. They made the trip to Waco. Gino, I put his star players out with mono.
Kalina Mosqueda Davis?
Lewis, yes.
Lewis.
Yes, that was mono. All right, we'll get back to our game now. We got some action here on the offensive end of the floor and not turnovers on every possession. Let's go.
16-13 after the 3 from O'Neal. DJ Johnson's been the go-to guy for Kansas State.
There we go. We got some offense now. We got dribbling into the gap, sealing off, some threes, a little more energy in the building, a little more confidence offensively.
Last year, Austin takes that 3. I'll put it on the floor, working on Williams, and Austin gets the 2.
Well, Isaiah Austin's made a few good moves. He just hasn't had the benefit of the roll, and that was a pretty strong move into the lane after some space was created from the wing.
Still no Shane Southwell for Kansas State. He did not start. As Foster rattles it home.
When we put up that graphic of how disastrous the offense would be, it had to turn around a little bit. It couldn't keep going bad. And Kansas State now getting into a little bit of a rhythm against the zone, going inside, shrinking it, and kicking it outside with precision.
Cherry kicks it to O'Neal. Way off. Out of bounds to Kansas State. Let's go back to the Austin basket.
Isaiah Austin's, you know, as skilled as you can find for a guy his size. And he had the space created, and Kansas State normally would crowd him a little bit when he starts to spin in the lane. But he's a pretty capable passer. I think they're worried about the three-point line with Hessler.
He attempted 93s last year. Early on this season, he really cut down on his three-point attempts, as Williams knocks down another jumper. But Scott Drew has told Austin, listen, if that shot is there and teams are really packing it in on you, don't be afraid to take it. You can make it. And he's attempted a few more threes over the last month or so.
Kansas State is starting to settle in, not only offensively, but defensively. Here on the last offensive set, you see on the inside, look at DJ Johnson just pin Isaiah Austin with his backside, and they've been looking to do that in quite a few possessions. They'll run to have that baseline runner, and they understand that the middleman has to come out and guard the short corner, and they do a nice job of screening, and Williams can face up and make that shot.
That last foul on Wesley Iwundu. Fourth team foul on Kansas State. Cherry to Austin over Johnson. It comes to Franklin. Didn't hit the rim. Shot clock still going. And Austin fouled on the floor. Isaiah Austin showing some aggressiveness, even though all the shots aren't falling. Baylor looking to claw back.
Indoor as members of the ACC, plus a Syracuse update as well, guys.
All right, thank you, Matt. DJ Johnson scored 9 points against Kansas, all in the final 6:13 of regulation and overtime. He's picking up where he left off. 3 of 3 8 points early on.
Well, you know what he's doing a good job of? He's moving into the open vacuum as the ball moves both on the perimeter with the pass and on the dribble into the gaps. And he's such a physical presence. He's making himself very available in a big target. He's using his backside to carve out space, and very good finisher at the rim as well. They have to pay attention to him in the backside of the zone. No one's putting the body on him.
Shane Southwell didn't start for Kansas State. We don't know if he's going to play. He rolled his ankle Monday against Kansas, and if Southwell can't go, Johnson's role becomes that much more important. He is really the only reserve big man for Bruce Weber.
He is, and very impressed the way Kansas State has been patient and probed this defense, the 2-3 zone, the 3-2 matchup, whatever you want to call it, kind of changes possession to possession.
Cherry buries the 3, and Kenny Cherry looks like pre-turf toe Kenny Cherry.
Well, they need a little confidence. They need something to get going here. They've missed a ton of easy shots, and nothing's been going down from the perimeter.
There's Nino Williams. Prince the rebound. Javon Thomas back into the game. Ish Wainwright, no good. Offensive rebound. Jefferson, he had it knocked away by Johnson, and Jefferson still able to retrieve.
Boy, Jefferson was pretty fortunate there. He's got to put his big mitts on and control that rebound.
Prince falling away. And it's over the back.
Not a good shot by Torian Prince. Just a fadeaway on the baseline on a new clock. And attack. They've got to go inside. They've got to get Corey Jefferson involved where he can make some things happen at the rim.
That's the second foul on Jefferson, and with 2:57 to go in the first half, he will remain in the game. Jefferson, Prince, Franklin, Ish Wainwright, and Kenny Cherry. The 5 on the floor for Scott Drew's Bears. There's Foster for 3. Knocks it down.
That is a clinic on how to run offense against the zone. Just the quick pass, the baseline runner, the screen, the awareness of Foster to knock it down.
Foster came into this game playing as well as anybody in the country. He was averaging almost 26 a game over his last 3. Jefferson shovels to Prince. He left it short. The rebound to Thomas Gibson. Thomas has his outlet tipped. Baylor coming back the other way. Franklin to Prince for the easy 2 in transition.
That was a bad play by Javon Thomas. He just tried to throw the ball up the court. There was no one to pitch it to who had any availability. He's got to have some patience if nothing's there in transition.
Nice pass, Spradling. Nino Williams from the baseline.
Well, you see how valuable Will Spradling is, just understanding how to reverse the floor off the bounce and then head up, finding the cutter in the back of the zone.
8 points now for Williams. Prince from the corner. Thomas pulls up. Gibson in the high post. Spradling open three from the corner. In and out. And Spradling comes away with the loose ball.
Kansas State just out-toughened Baylor, not only for the loose balls, but at the rim and physicality in the lane.
Final minute of the first half. Second effort by Gibson is there. And Kansas State has a 10-point lead.
Point taken, Anish. Toughness. Out-toughen Baylor right now in the lane. Right now, Baylor backing down, Kansas State thrusting ahead.
Largest lead of the game for the Wildcats. About a 4-second differential between game clock and shot clock. Cherry. It won't go for the junior college All-American.
Everybody stopped playing, Anish, because the shot clock buzzer went off, but
the ball hit the rim.
The ball hit the rim. So clearly the officials have to decide what happened after the buzzer went off, but the play doesn't stop because the horn blows, unless the officials stop the play with their whistle.
Well, the game clock stopped moving.
Right, they're going to have to go to the replay or go to the monitor. They're going to have to go to the monitor and see how much time is left.
Right there, 3.7 seconds. The game clock stopped.
Although I think I heard another whistle before the foul whistle. That's what Bruce Weber is saying. Everybody stopped playing, but the officials are going to say, well, that's not our fault.
Well, I think Bruce Weber's complaint is, was there a foul? And if there was a foul, was it after the play was dead? Or after the clock stopped in this case?
Well, you see Steve Olson here at the bottom of the previous play. He's about to wave off the play. I think he blows his whistle thinking there is a shot clock violation.
There is a foul on Thomas Gibson.
He was about to give the no good sign, and then the foul was called.
Gibson was called for a foul. Let's see what the officials do.
And that's maybe why the clock stopped, because the officials are the ones that stop the clock with their monitor on their belt. The clock does not stop or start at the table.
Steve Olson, Tom O'Neill, Bert Smith, today's officials. There's Tom O'Neill. The officials still trying to sort this out. While we have a moment, now let's remind you, ESPN's journey to the tourney continues tonight. SEC Clash, Florida undefeated in conference play, 11-0, winners of 16 straight overall, taking on Kentucky. John Calipari said this game will tell us where we are. Really a litmus test, measuring stick game for both Florida and Kentucky. So I guess the foul stands on Gibson, and Jefferson will go to the line.
Well, it's exactly what we said. I mean, the play, you cannot stop playing. You teach your players this from day one. You don't play through anything except when you hear that whistle from the officials, and the horn went off inadvertently on the shot clock, and the guy running the shot clock is not in charge of the play on the floor, that's for sure. And it's an unfortunate play for Kansas State, but Baylor's taking advantage.
It's a two-shot foul. Jefferson misses the first. Baylor just 2 of 6 as a team from the free throw line. They've struggled in that department all season.
Because a lot of times the shot clock buzzer will go off simultaneously as the ball hits the rim. So you have to play through that, always.
3.7 seconds to go. Here's Thomas. Would have counted if it went no good, and we go to the locker room. Kansas State with a 12-4 run to close the first half. The Wildcats up by 9. Now to the studio and Matt Schick.
Thank you, Anise. Kansas State looking for their 3rd straight win, well on their way. 9-point.
Back here at the Farrell Center in Waco, Kansas State looking for just its 2nd true road win of the season. The Wildcats up by 9 on Baylor after 20 minutes of play. Great defense in the first half for Kansas State. Baylor really struggling to shoot the ball. Anish Shroff alongside Tim Welsh. Kansas State coming off wins against Kansas and Texas, getting production from 2 unlikely sources in the first half. Nino Williams and DJ Johnson have combined for 16 points.
Well, they've done a nice job against Baylor's zone. They've probed it. They've been patient. They've gone inside. But really, the story is their defense. I mean, they've just come out and punched Baylor right in the stomach, and Baylor has not answered nor responded. Inside, they missed a lot of easy baskets in traffic because they haven't been physical and strong to the rim. And look, at Brady Heslip has not got any open looks.
Yeah, Heslip without a field goal in the first half. And here's the 2 guys, Johnson and Williams, normally reserves, playing major minutes, major roles in the first half. Shane Southwell a non-factor, so Nino Williams actually got the start, and those 2 have really come through.
Well, Nino Williams done a nice job running the baseline, good, capable passer, and Kansas State's scheme against his zone, they've mixed and matched. They've gone inside, they've screened the inside of the zone, they've had a baseline runner where they've got some open looks on the perimeter, they've got some stuff in transition, but they're becoming a complete team. I think a lot of confidence coming off those last 2 wins, and they showed up tonight on the road. They haven't shown up much at all this season, and tonight they've played hard for the first 20 minutes.
Big 20 minutes coming up for Baylor. The Bears are 3-8 in league play. They need a win, and they need wins plural down the stretch if they're going to make a run at the field of 68. Shot clock at 10. Cherry from the baseline. Offensive rebound, Isaiah Austin. He goes up with it and is able to draw the foul.
That's what Baylor needs. They need more of a presence with Austin and Jefferson inside. You got 2 long, athletic players. They're not the most physical guys in the world, but they still, you can use your length and athleticism against power anytime and just find those angles. But you've got to stick your nose into the play.
If you saw the great story on Austin on game day last month, blind in his right eye, wears a prosthetic eye, suffered a retina injury in middle school and really had to relearn the game of basketball. Depth perception, all that was a factor, and he made himself into a great player, McDonald's All-American, and a sophomore who's on a lot of those mock draft boards. Puts it on the floor, finds Foster. Foster got it over Austin, but it's no good. There's Cherry. Heslip, transition 3, won't go. Out of bounds to Baylor. And Brady Heslip 0 for 4 from downtown. He was shooting 53% from beyond the arc in his last 5 games.
Well, Scott Drew's got his team out of the locker room with a little bit more pop in their step. Defensively, more active on the perimeter with their hands, and that was a good push in transition.
Spradling shading Heslip.
Spradling hasn't scored, but he has done a lockdown job on Brady Heslip.
Cherry from the elbow, that's good. And Baylor has cut it to 5.
I think Scott Drew put his fist on the board in the locker room and said, okay, guys, this is our season the next 20 minutes. unless you want to go back to the NIT. Let's pick up the pace and defend our home court. We've lost 4 in a row here.
A 1-2 blocked by Austin, the Big 12 leader in block shots. And Heslip finishes a 7-0 run. A 1-2 lost it. Cherry in transition, and that's a goaltend.
Well, Anish, in a defensive battle, it doesn't take much to get yourself back into a game, and Baylor came out of the locker room with a pop in their step, and it started with their defense. More active on the perimeter, more communication, more energy, and it's led to some easy buckets.
Baylor has scored 8 straight to open the second half, 9 straight going back to the first half. Kansas State led 30-20. That was the biggest lead of the game. And Heslip got his hands on that one. Kansas State will keep it with 17:29 to go. Active hands, though, on defense here by Baylor to start the second half.
Man, Kansas State looks a little sluggish offensively, not cutting as hard or probing the defense as they were in the first half.
Spradling gets it in, but Bruce Weber called a timeout. The pendulum is swung. Baylor on a 9-0 run, 8 straight to open the second half. Here come the Bears.
These wicked games that we play. These wicked games that we play. These wicked games that we play. These wicked games that we play.
From Ursa Minor to Ursa Major, the Baylor Bears have come out in the second half like they missed dinner. An 8-0 run out of the gates.
Well, finally, a little life in the building, and life has been created by the energy on the defensive end of the floor, starting with Kenny Cherry, putting some good ball pressure on him, and on the backside, Isaiah Austin playing like a 7-1 big man with length.
Spradling drives. Count the basket and the foul. A much-needed counterpunch by Kansas State.
The drive into the gap, and this is what Kansas State was doing in the first half, and just Kenny Cherry with the slap. Got to slide his feet.
Spradling completes the 3-point play, and he pushes the K-State lead back up to 4. Cherry gets by Foster. Gibson the block. Good help side defense.
Cherry's got to read the defense to understand the backside help's coming. Be ready to dish.
Here's Foster, 8 in the first half. He's averaging more than 25 per game over his last 3. Hook shot won't go. Here's Cherry. Jefferson and 1.
Well, this is what we thought Baylor should have been doing a little bit more of in the first half, and it's part his teammates' fault, part his fault that he's not presenting himself down low. And that time, good push up the sideline, and Jefferson presented himself, carved out space, and finished.
And that foul on Thomas Gibson, so that's 3 for the junior from Cedar Hill, Texas.
But Jefferson and Austin are thin big men, as we see. So they're not going to just run half-court sets and just pound the ball inside to them. But if they catch it on the move, they're hard to guard because of their length and their ability to finish at the iron.
It's a 1-point game. Here's DJ Johnson, blocked by Austin. K-State will keep it. Tim, Austin has really progressed from last year to this year in the shot blocking department.
Well, he made up for that play just because of his ability to get up and stick his arm in the air. He got caught. He got buried down there, but he recovered quickly.
Omari Lawrence into the game for Kansas State. Here's Nino Williams, gets it over Austin for 2. And Williams has 10. His career high is 17.
The unsung sixth man getting the start today, but so important because active against his zone, knows how to move without the basketball.
There's the lob. Jefferson has it denied. Good defense down low. And DJ Johnson is down at the other end of the basket. Foster's 3, no good. Play continues. Foster gets it over Austin for 2. Johnson giving the thumbs up sign to the rest of his teammates and Bruce Weber.
Oh, a bad pass, a forced pass, an entry on one end, and then Baylor getting out-toughed again on the other.
Jefferson over DJ Johnson, in and out. Spradling pulls up, short, gets his own miss.
Baylor's got to do a better job of setting their defense sooner. Spradling, that's way too easy to dribble right to the foul line, got an easy look.
Williams, the turnaround, that doesn't go, and Austin corrals it.
Baylor's got to try to solve that play because Nino Williams is flashing from the weak side. He's getting a little rub screen, and he's wide open every time in that mid-post area.
Lawrence the steal, and then he got bumped by O'Neal. K-State up by 5, but Baylor's made a game out of this.
Well, Baylor came out feisty, but needs to get reorganized. Bad pass by Cherry.
12, it's like chutes and ladders. Teams rise, teams fall, and the way the schedule sets up, you're always playing somebody, so the opportunity is always there to rise and fall.
Well, big one tonight, not only here, but West Virginia and Texas. The Huggy Bear settling in nicely in his second year in the Big 12. Not a factor a year ago, the travel stuff that went on, just adjusting to the new conference, but you have the man on the sidelines and you have State in the backcourt. Good things are going to happen. West Virginia's really good.
State might be the conference player of the year right now. And Kansas State might have the freshman of the year in the league, Marcus Foster. There's Javon Thomas, down low to DJ Johnson. Another block by Austin, 3.5. Spradling gets it over, gathers. It's tipped to Franklin. Prince double teamed. This pass picked off by Lawrence. Here's Thomas. Baylor gets back. And a block by Gathers. Prince traveled.
Well, Rico Gathers is not only a rebounder, he is a force at the iron. You come into his world, you better go strong and avoid that truck at the rim.
He's 6'8", 270, built like a defensive end. You look at him, and if you didn't know he was in a basketball uniform, you'd think he played for Art Briles.
And that's all nice, but they come down the other end and get nothing again, because you see it when Kenny Cherry's out of the game, they really struggle to get organized and don't have a true point guard on the floor.
You know, Gathers this season has been one of the top reserves, if not the top reserve in the Big 12. Here's Gibson now working on Gathers. Austin comes to help, but a nice move there by the junior.
That was very good execution, and on the overload, Baylor.
Thomas fouled that time. Or I should say Thomas fouled Franklin, and Baylor got bailed out.
Here, watch this. As they throw the ball into the post, and Gibson turns, you see Brady Heslop just watches him turn. He's got to come in and give support. He's got Javon Thomas on his side of the floor, who is absolutely no threat from the outside. You have to know who's on your side of the floor. So he can go in there and dig in and get that ball out of Thomas Gibson's hands. Instead, he's just standing there watching air, and Gibson has a free lane to the rim.
Big advantage to Kansas State in points in the paint. Austin over Gibson.
was a good play, and Baylor would be is going inside. They need to keep going inside.
Javon Thomas has given Bruce Weber quality minutes off the bench. Most of it with his defense. Three not there for Lawrence. The putback by Gibson.
It's just fundamental basketball on the backside. We talk about Rico Gathers. He just stood there and watched as Kansas State attacked the glass.
And again, pressure from K-State. Tim, you said it earlier, Kenny Cherry really the only true point guard for Baylor. Franklin more of your combo guard. Heslip. That doesn't go. He's still without a three-pointer. And Prince there for the putback.
Well, that was good offense, though, by Baylor. They ran that little staggered baseline screen, and Spradling got hung up even though he was trying to stay attached. And that was good look by Heslip. And Prince, effort on the backside.
Williams from the baseline. Tim, he's got a little bit of C.J. Fair in him, doesn't he? With his game, do you see it?
He really does. I mean, he just slithers in and out, bigger body, but under control and finds a way to knife on that baseline.
Maybe a right-handed version. Kansas State up by 7, timeout Baylor. They've got 2 left with 11:31 to go in the half. Tomorrow night on ESPNU, we've got a college hoops doubleheader. Notre Dame taking on Boston College. Notre Dame beat Clemson Tuesday. Eric Atkins, 16 points, 6 assists in that game. And then Colorado taking on USC. One of those can't-lose games for a Colorado team trying to stay in the NCAA tournament picture. Currently, they're on the right side of Joe Lunardi's bubble.
We talked about the soft bubble. It just gave me a little bit of a headache on the plane looking at all these teams, and a lot of mediocre teams on the bubble. But hey, who gets hot at the end will benefit. And the blocks of Baylor have been special in this half. And using their length on the inside of the zone and better rotations. But the last few possessions, the thing with Baylor is they've kind of fallen asleep on the backside, and their offense has loosened up, and they're doing a better job of getting looks at the rim, cleaner looks at the rim. But now their defense has taken a couple steps back in the last couple minutes. And I think that's why Scott Drew called the timeout.
That's been the question with Baylor this season. We know they have weapons offensively, but can they win games when the offense isn't firing? Today is one of those games, and it's a big test for this Bears team. And if they pass it, it's a lot of hope for Scott Drew moving forward. Foul on the floor with 11:20 to go. Kansas State up by 7. Critical game for both these teams. Baylor still within striking distance, down 7. But one thing that has not been there for the Bears today, three-point shooting. Just 2 of 16. Remember, they were 16 of 27 from three-point range in their win Wednesday against TCU. And Brady Heslip really has been a non-factor in this game. 1 of 6 from the field, 2 points, 0 for 5 from downtown.
Well, a little bit different cat, as we might say, when you're playing against a team that's not known for the defense in TCU, where we got one of the best tenacious defenses you'll find in the conference. Playing today, they've done a better job of running their offense at times. They've missed some open looks, but most of the shots have been under duress.
Heslip, the leading three-point shooter in the Big 12. Kansas State, credit the Wildcats like you did, Tim. #1 in the conference in defending the three.
Well, what they've done too is Will Spradling. They put tremendous pressure on the basketball, so it's hard just to enter the ball to begin with. But then Spradling is staying attached to Brady Heslip, meaning he's getting on his back, he's avoiding the screens going around the top and making him put the ball on the floor.
Cherry the lob, and Jefferson can't finish.
Scott Drew just puts his hands up in the air and slaps him down in his legs, saying, what do we need to do? It was an absolutely perfect set. Everything was great, except the ball didn't go in.
There's Lawrence, guarded by Ish Wainwright. Lawrence from the elbow, rebounded by Jefferson. Baylor right now, Wainwright and Gathers on the floor. That's a linebacker and a defensive end. Here's Wainwright, the freshman. His pass for Gathers. It was errant, but a foul on Lawrence.
Again, it's one of those games. It feels like Kansas State has complete control, but they really don't, because Baylor is starting to get better looks. And I think Baylor's issue right now is if they can tighten up their defense, because Kansas State is getting pretty good looks down the other end against the zone.
And a foul on the inbound pass to Gathers.
DJ Johnson with the foul is his first.
Well, that's advantage Baylor if the Zebras start tightening things up, because Kansas State wants to play that aggressive in your chest defense.
You got to make them pay for it, and that's where Baylor has struggled, the free throw shooting.
The free throw shooting, and also just toughness.
Now, this possession here has resulted in 3 team fouls against Kansas State.
Well, they seem to get a little tougher in that number 2. That's just kind of that number doesn't look right on Rico Gathers. He should be like 87 or something.
74 or 93.
Exactly.
Free throw good by Jefferson.
He puts Ish Wainwright in there as well next to him, and got some solid bodies up front, and they like to throw their bodies around, and they become more of a physical presence in the lane.
Gathers goes 6'8", 270. Wainwright 6'5", 245. There he is with the wide shoulders, number 24. And he's more like a point forward.
Tom O'Neill earning his paycheck tonight with a little sweep of the lane.
Baylor as a team, 66% from the free throw line on the season. And they had that 5-game losing streak in conference play earlier. They were below 60% during that stretch.
Let's watch Baylor's defense. Are they going to be physical, or are they going to be active? Because Kansas State's going, you know what they're going to do. They're going to be patient. They're going to look to go inside, try to screen the middle of the zone, get something in the lane. If they pinch in, they'll pitch it back out.
Here's Foster. Bounce pass down low. Williams there for the finish, plus the foul.
We saw Marcus Foster at the beginning of the conference season against Oklahoma State, and he was a scorer and an athlete. And he has become a complete player, a basketball player, who can make a lot of different plays on the floor. Not only a scorer, but a willing passer and a leader for Kansas State.
Williams got the start today. Shane Southwell has not seen any minutes so far. Southwell rolled his ankle in Monday's win against Kansas. We were told before the game he was doubtful. He wouldn't start but could play, but we have not seen Southwell. Williams, meanwhile, has done an outstanding job in Southwell's place.
He sure has. And Kansas State understands how to play against the zone.
Wainwright lost it, recovers, goes up strong and draws the foul. Well, Tim, you said it, the physical lineup in, and we're seeing Baylor try to take advantage of that.
Putting their head down, trying to get to the rim, and I think they're settling in, but their issues are on the other end of the floor right now.
Wainwright only a 50% free throw shooter. Came out of high school as the 60th best recruit, according to ESPN. ESPN, a proud partner in the Play for K initiative, which raises money and awareness for breast cancer. And tomorrow, a women's college basketball doubleheader, part of Play for K. Florida, Georgia at 1 Eastern, Louisville, Memphis to follow at 3:30. Extra possession for the Bears. You see both K-State bigs in foul trouble. Johnson and Gibson with 3 apiece. Franklin kicks to an open Cherry, sets, fires, won't go. And Austin called for the reach-in foul on Javon Thomas. Bad foul there by the 7-footer.
It's just a killer. When you play with energy, you get the second opportunity, and Ish Wainwright has done a nice job of presenting himself with energy and toughness. And perfect delivery to Cherry on the baseline, just couldn't knock it down. But let's pay attention to Baylor's defense. On that last possession, when Marcus Foster drove in, everybody attacked him. They're not rotating and finding people when the ball comes into the lane. They're paying too much attention to the ball instead of cutters coming to the rim.
Williams to the basket and one.
Well, Bruce Weber, if you need a clinic on how to run zone offense, call him up, coaches, because he knows what he is doing. Movement, spacing, understanding, probing the defense, scoring from a lot of different areas. See the baseline runner, and again, Baylor not paying attention to cutters coming on the baseline. Everyone's turned out to the basketball while Kansas State is going underneath on the backside, and they're finding open people on the baseline.
There's 17 points for Williams, a career high. He won't set a new career high on that shot. Lead back up to 9 for Kansas State. That's the difference it was at halftime. K-State is led by as many as 10. Jefferson forced one, and he's fouled by DJ Johnson, and that is 4 on Johnson.
The biggest misconception in basketball, one of the biggest, is that you have to have a three-point shooting team to beat a zone. And tonight, it's right in front of your face that you're seeing you don't have to do that. You have to have good passers, guys that understand concepts, and a scheme to attack.
You coached with Jim Boeheim for years, who runs the 2-3 at Syracuse. How many times have we heard Boeheim over the years say he wants teams to shoot threes against the 2-3 zone? That's what you want.
Absolutely, because your defense knows where the shooters are. They're on the three-point line. They're not sliding behind you. You can't see where Nino Williams is. Nino Williams is going into the middle, into the short corner, on the baseline, under the rim, and he's just reading the defense from behind, and that's where it's very difficult, especially if you have a lot of cutters in the middle of the zone as well. And that's what Kansas State's doing. They're not settling at all for threes.
14 for Corey Jefferson. Here's Foster from the baseline. He knocks it down.
Well, that is Marcus Foster, the new and improved knockdown three-point shooter.
Cherry drives. No good as he tried to get it over his defender. Franklin thought about it. Austin working on Gibson, who's got 3 fouls, and Austin goes in for the 2.
Kansas State trying to rush down the floor as they did on their previous possession. They got down, found Foster on the baseline before Baylor set their D.
Williams, Thomas, Foster, Spradling, and Gibson, the 5 for Kansas State. Here's the lob. Nino Williams was calling for it. Austin got to him from the backside.
Marcus Foster gets to the rim. Toughness, but also textbook jumper from the baseline for K-State.
ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's. Well, there you see construction on Baylor's brand new football stadium. What Art Briles has done for the program in football, Scott Drew has done for basketball, and both coaches have really elevated the profile of the entire university. They are now a major player on a national level in both sports.
There's no question about it, and Baylor athletics as a whole has just jumped up on the national scene over the last 5 to 8 years, and facilities, and a nice practice facility here for basketball, and a beautiful football stadium right on the river at the edge of campus.
Scott Drew has taken Baylor to a couple of Elite Eights. Art Briles a few years ago had a Heisman Trophy winner in RG3, and then this past season, Baylor won the Big 12 in football and ended up going to its first ever BCS bowl game.
Well, they can sell the winning tradition, the winning coaches, the great facilities, the new stadium, and 77-degree days in the middle of February when we're just getting killed back in the Northeast. So, I don't know, can we stay here a couple days? I might have to rent some golf clubs. I'm not going home to a blizzard. My goodness, it was nice today.
I'll tell you, for the two of us who live on the East Coast, walking into Waco and feeling some sunshine and no need for a jacket.
I don't care if they don't have great Italian restaurants here. I want to stay a couple days.
On the way to the arena, I saw a man riding a horse. I've been told that is normal in the state of Texas. He was just going with traffic on a horse.
Well, Baylor needs to ride
They
a couple
do.
horses right now to get back in this game. They need to go inside. I mean, they're hanging around, but again, I think it's their defense has been an issue, and Kansas State is very comfortable right now playing against that zone. They need to present some more problems defensively and get up on the glass and get some quick, easy baskets.
We've seen this K-State press be effective and bother the Baylor offense tonight. No Brady Heslip in the game for the Bears. He's been a non-factor today. Only one field goal, 0 for 5 from downtown, just 2 points. Franklin for 3. And a foul underneath.
Baylor is grinding. They're grinding and grinding. They just can't hit any open shots. They do a pretty good job of running their offense. And just got to clean up the defensive end of the floor.
And Tim, now if you're Baylor, do you just pound it inside? That was Gibson's 4th. DJ Johnson, who checked back into the game, is playing with 4 fouls. That's the extent of K-State's bigs right now.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And they've got to get into their offense. There's no question. Javon Thomas has given them a little bit of a problem defensively at the top on Kenny Cherry and guarding Gary Franklin on the ball. So they've got to get into their offense. Once they get into it, I think they're going to be able to go down low. But they've got to pay attention to detail in their zone. They're paying too much attention to the ball. They're not communicating enough off the ball, and the cutters have getting wide open. Let's watch this set and watch the back side of the zone. See if Baylor is picking up the open cutters.
2-possession game. Baylor 13 of 18 from the line. Thomas has 5 assists in the game. Kansas State has assisted on 19 of its 22 field goals. Shot clock running down. Down to 5. Foster. And it's pulled down by O'Neal.
That was a good set defensively for Baylor. A lot of communication, a lot of heads on a swivel, looking for cutters. Solid contested rebound.
The three-point shot has not been there for Baylor, just 2 of 18. Kansas State tops in the conference in three-point field goal defense. Austin, big size advantage on Williams. And he takes advantage of it.
Well, Coach Anish, you called it. Go inside. And Coach Drew understands it as well. We've got an advantage. We're going to take advantage.
Off the turnover, here comes Cherry. All the way for 2, and Baylor within 2.
Well, just a horrific pass by Javon Thomas, leaving his feet with nowhere to go, just jumping up in the air. And it's a gift for Baylor because Baylor's got a little pop in their step now. In that previous possession defensively did a good job. And when you give them a gift when they're trying to crawl back in the game, Bruce Weber understands I need a timeout and maybe a change at point guard.
A 2-point game. It is an 8-0 run for Baylor. Let's check in with Matt Schick in the studio.
All right, thanks, guys. Good one coming up in the Missouri Valley Conference. There's Jamar Gully, top 10 in scoring in the MVC. He and Missouri State taking on Northern Iowa, about 17 minutes away from tip there here on the U, guys.
All right, thank you, Matt. 2-point game. K-State leading Baylor 51-49. In this game, Baylor, it's been like the story in Greek mythology, Tantalus reaching for the grapes. They get close, and then the water level rises, and they can't quite get the grapes.
Well, you're spewing your private school stuff on me, Mr. Syracuse. I'm a State University guy. All I know is that they're communicating in the zone now, and they're playing with a little fire and energy. Baylor, a little more confidence.
Baylor extending that zone. Spradling's been awfully quiet today. Williams, the air ball. O'Neal was open. Now he drives. Franklin retrieves. Shot clock at 15. Austin's pass. Lawrence got his hand on it. Shot clock at 6. Here's Cherry for the tie.
It looked like Baylor didn't want to go inside and kind of pushed the ball around the perimeter, but Kenny Cherry making some plays here down the stretch.
51-51. Baylor trailed by as many as 10 in this half. Clock at 8. Down to 5. And Bruce Weber has called a timeout. One timeout remaining for Kansas State. Baylor has 2 left with 4:36 to go in regulation.
Well, I hope Bruce Weber has a special with 4 seconds to go. Not sure he wanted a timeout at that point in the shot clock. Really, there's not much you can draw up except maybe just talking about the defensive possession coming down the other way.
Well, Baylor has come back, Tim.
Well, they've come back, Anish, by going inside, taking advantage. Austin, Jefferson, some foul trouble for Kansas State, and they've picked up the pace defensively as well. A little more activity. And one of the main rules when you're playing zone is to know where the ball is, but also you got to defend men in your area. Look for cutters, and they've done a better job in the last few minutes with that, communicating to the back end, led by Austin as the traffic cop in the middle of the 2-3.
53% from the field in the second half. And they've recognized the three-point shot isn't there. Baylor attempted 14 threes in the first half, only made 2. Only 4 three-point attempts in the second half. Kansas State's got to shoot. Spradling beats the shot clock and banks it in. And K-State back up by 2.
That's why Bruce Weber called timeout. He had that 4-second play in his pocket. Good timeout by Kansas State and a better play by Spradling.
Spradling's got 5. Lawrence got his hands on it. And it comes to Spradling. Lawrence in transition. And he'll count the basket.
Well, first, Javon Thomas just makes a bad play, and Kenny Cherry makes just as bad a play as a point guard, just leaving your feet with nowhere to go out on the three-point line. And then Lawrence, the toughness from the Bronx. Physicality at the rim.
And Lawrence completes the three-point play. So Kansas State now leads by 5. Baylor came back to tie it at 51, and K-State has responded with the next 5 points.
It's too much dribbling by Kenny Cherry. He's got to just give up the ball, get them in their offense to the ring area, and then go inside.
Cherry got Foster in the air, now drives. Tries to go over Johnson, who's playing with 4 fouls. Out of bounds to Kansas State. Sometimes you need a little luck on the road. Will Spradling beating the shot clock to put K-State back on top.
Oh, Anish and Tim, we will update you.
That means Tyler Ennis has another miracle shot in his bag, right?
There's no question about it. NC State has played well, and look at these teams. You talk about Oklahoma State and Baylor a few weeks ago where they're rising, now they're falling. West Virginia losing to Texas tonight, and Kansas State trying to hang in there.
Scott Drew thinks if his team can win 8 conference games, that means go 5-2 the rest of the way, including today. They've got a chance to get in. To do that, they've got 3 pretty tough road games left on the docket. But to go 5-2 the rest of the way, you've got to win on your home floor, and this is a must-have for Baylor.
You've got to get Kenny Cherry to make better plays at the end of games. When the game's on the line, it's 2 plays in a row. He just leaves his feet, throws it right to Kansas State on the 3-point line. And then the second play, just drives in, puts his head down, tries to throw it up on the rim. They got back in this game by going inside to Jefferson and Austin.
Kansas State looking for just its 2nd true road win of the season. Nino Williams left it short. Offensive rebound. DJ Johnson couldn't get it. And it comes to Williams. And Kansas State will hold, maybe burn a little clock here.
Well, Johnson and Williams just pushed Austin and Jefferson out of the way on the inside.
Here's Marcus Foster, reigning National Freshman of the Week. Maybe the Freshman of the Year in the Big 12. Foster for three. Cherry and Williams fighting for the rebound. Last touch, Nino Williams. Baylor gets it back. Down 5, less than 3 to play.
Kenny Cherry stuck his nose into traffic, and that's exactly what Baylor needs. They've been losing the toughness battle pretty much all night long, but Kenny Cherry, the point guard, said, I'm going to put my nose in this play and get us back. Now they need to get organized and try to go inside.
Baylor has lost 4 straight at home. K-State has lost 4 straight conference games on the road. Austin finally gets a bounce.
There's too much size. Good isolation play, solid offense by Baylor. Good recognition by Cherry of the mismatch on the baseline.
Brady has slipped into the game for Baylor without a 3-point field goal today. 0 for 5 from downtown. Here's Spradlin. Shot clock under 10. Screen from Williams. Spradlin for 3 over Heslip. In and out. And the rebound to Cherry. Here comes Baylor. Cherry, he's got Heslip for the tie. No, Jefferson the offensive rebound, and he's fouled. And if it's on DJ Johnson, that's 5 on him.
Just a heads-up play by Kenny Cherry. A push to the rim in transition. Drew the defense. I thought he was going to try to make a tough play at the rim for himself. Instead had good recognition to pitch it out to his backcourt mate, who just had his feet set. Just a little off tonight for Brady Heslip. He's got to go home tonight and say, oh my goodness, how am I missing these shots?
That last foul was not on DJ Johnson. It was on Nino Williams. So Williams 3rd. Johnson still in the game with 4 fouls. And now Jefferson to the free throw line, where he's 8 of 11. And Baylor, normally not a good free throw shooting team, 66% on the season. 13 of 18, make it 14 of 19 today.
We're going to go up to the rim against Kansas State. It's not going to be a clean and easy look. And Corey Jefferson, give him and Isaiah Austin all the credit in the world. Down the stretch, they've been very physical on the offensive end, especially on putbacks and finishes at the rim.
Jefferson gets 1 out of 2. A 2-point game as we come up on 90 seconds to play. Williams lost it. Here's the trap. Jefferson got his hands on it to knock it away. A 2 would tie, a 3 for the lead.
He's got a couple timeouts. Found him, I call one. Get Brady Heslip back in the game.
Cherry lost it. He simply lost that out of bounds. A costly turnover with 1:01 left.
It was the ball pressure on the perimeter and the denial on the wings that Kansas State presented an issue defensively, and Baylor never got comfortable, couldn't get an entry pass to get into their offense. K-State's just going to harass you. You know that all over the floor. And they never got comfortable. Nobody cut to get open and caused the turnover.
Baylor has not led since the 15-minute mark of the first half.
A lot of pressure on the perimeter, but Baylor's got to be aware the action is going to happen behind the 25-foot line, so they got to watch the cutters.
Foster breaks down the D, can't finish. And a traveling violation on Jefferson. So Kansas State will get the ball back with 32.3 seconds to go. Wildcats have one timeout. Baylor's got two. And the shot clock is turned off.
I think Corey Jefferson, he's fighting amongst all the activity there, and he tries to call a timeout. Steve Olson saw the walk first. He slid with the basketball, no question about it. Good call.
32.3 seconds to go in regulation. Kansas State ball. Both teams with a timeout left. While we have time, we check in with Matt Schick.
All right, guys, it is over. It is all over in upstate New York. North Carolina State with a 1-point edge, 11 seconds to go. They try to inbound. It's stolen off to C.J. Fair, who lays it in. And that would be it, as North Carolina State would fail on their final shot. Syracuse survives, guys.
That team's got a knack for running out of a burning building without a scratch. They've done it a few times this season. Baylor looking to run out of their own building with a win. The Bears have lost 4 straight at home. They need this. 3-8 in league play. Kansas State eyeing maybe a conference title. They'd like to get a much-needed road win. They've only have one true road win on the season. Baylor's going to have to foul here at some point. And Foster finally fouled by O'Neal.
Scott Drew called the timeout to set up his defense. Tried to trap and get a steal for a few counts, but now they put Foster on the line.
Kansas State only in the single bonus. That was just the 7th team foul on Baylor. So this will be a 1-and-1 for Marcus Foster. He's a 70% free throw shooter. K-State, not a great free throw shooting team by any stretch of the imagination. 65% of the season. And Foster hits the front end.
Marcus Foster, something tells me over his career, his numbers will go up measurably in the last few minutes.
K-State only has 3 players on the roster better than 70% from the free throw line, and Foster gets 1 out of 2. Baylor can tie with a 3, a 2 to extend the game. Cherry, the floater, not there. Gibson taps it. Cherry saves it. Franklin launches a 3. No good. Jefferson, the offensive rebound. It's not there. Austin to Heslip for the tie. It's good! Brady Heslip was 0 for 6 from downtown prior to that last shot. He was due. The crowd was waiting for it. And Heslip delivers with zeros on the clock, and we're going to overtime.
Pretty much all night long, those tip, loose, second and third attempts have gone Kansas State's way, but Isaiah Austin.
Did he get away with a self-pass here?
I think he lost his balance. I'm not sure he had control of it, but whatever he did, the presence of mind. You know, first of all, Corey Jefferson put up the shot with like 4 seconds to go when they're down 3. He's the first guy that should have pitched out, but Isaiah Austin, he had the presence of mind to throw it out to one of the hottest three-point shooters in the country. Maybe not tonight, but you keep feeding that guy, you know he's going to make one.
Prior to that last three-point shot, Baylor, the best three-point shooting team in the conference, was just 2 of 20 from downtown. And you know, we're watching Brady Heslip all game. Credit Kansas State. Their defense on him has been extremely stellar. He was due. He came up with maybe the biggest shot of Baylor's season.
Well, sometimes the old coaches used to say the best offense is offense by accident, and that's how Brady Heslip got open. I mean, they've been running plays for him all night long, and Kansas State, Will Spradley has stayed attached on the baseline doubles and staggers and done a great job. They put great ball pressure on the top where they couldn't get open or easy entries to get into their offense. but energy, enthusiasm, all the big E's, and effort, and the awareness of Isaiah Austin, and maybe a little luck. The best three-point shooter around was standing right next to you. But hey, they locked it down, locked it in, and give Baylor all the credit in the world. They hung in there when it looked like they were dead in the water.
A lot of resolve for a team that really is on the brink. 3-8 in league play. Kansas State, we've chronicled it. They came in playing as well as anybody in this conference. Wins against the top two teams in the league in their last two games. Kansas on Monday and Texas last Saturday. We're going to need overtime to decide this one in Waco.
Baylor was fortunate because Kenny Cherry took a wild shot when they needed a 3 or a good 2. And he's got to settle down and run this team, make sure they get good shots on every possession.
Foul on Lawrence on Baylor's first possession of overtime. So Kansas State now in overtime for a second straight game. Remember, they had a lead late against Kansas Monday. Kansas was able to come back, and K-State eventually won in overtime.
Well, we'll see what type of resolve Kansas State has. I mean, they played a very good game, but you have to give Baylor all the credit in the world because of the fact they have had a lot of easy shots they've missed. And the ball has bounced K-State's way most of the night, except on the biggest play of the night, the last one.
Royce O'Neal, only a 55% free throw shooter. And the transfer from Denver gets 1 out of 2. And Baylor has its first lead since the 15-minute mark of the first half.
Scott Drew did a good job in the last 4 or 5 minutes. He got his defense to tighten up and understand they need more support on the inside.
Gibson draws the foul, so he'll go to the line for Kansas State. He's a 67% free throw shooter. Both K-State bigs in foul trouble. Gibson's got 4. DJ Johnson currently on the bench also has 4.
Baylor's bigs are just getting caught dead behind Thomas Gibson. Get around him a little bit more. He's just digging out easy space right at the rim.
2 free throws give K-State the lead. Heslip gets free, gets some space, fires, no good.
That's just A-plus defense by Willis Bradley. I mean, just avoiding 3 screens on the baseline, staying attached to his outside hip.
Baylor has dominated the glass here in the second half, especially late in the game.
He doesn't even know where the basketball is. He's just shadowing Brady Heslip.
Nothing there for Heslip. Shot clock winding down to 10. Here's Cherry for 3.
Well, he doesn't always make the right plays, but he can make the big plays when asked and called on. And Kenny Cherry, a lot of heart. Kid from Montreal. The Canadian backcourt for Baylor, cooking.
Heslip and Cherry both from north of the border. There's Foster from Wichita Falls, Texas, and he finds Gibson, and we're tied at 61.
Marcus Foster, the ability to create and drop the perfect dime in lane.
Austin for 3, and now the threes are falling for Baylor. The Bears have hit 3 of their last 4 from downtown after missing 18 of their first 20 three-point attempts.
Well, offensive balance.
Williams blocked by Austin.
Isaiah Austin is the guy that can clean up problems. Nino Williams snuck behind the zone once again, but the big fella, the reaction at the rim.
Jefferson turns, fires, and the rebound by Gibson. Here comes Foster. Foster all the way to the bucket, and the big finish on Jefferson, plus the foul.
Who is this man? Goodness. A 3-star recruit. Coaches, go watch guys in the summer because this guy can play. Oh. Previous play, dropped a perfect dime and just the seas parted, and he doesn't need much room or opportunity because he rises up with power at the rim.
Even Bruce Weber told us today, they thought Foster was going to be a good player. They didn't think he'd be this good this quickly.
How about great, right out of the gate.
He is making a strong push for Big 12 Freshman of the Year. He posterized Gonzaga's David Stockton earlier in the season, a big dunk on Jefferson. Let's go to Matt Schick in the studio.
Yeah, Nish, if you're looking for Missouri Valley Conference action, Northern Iowa up on Missouri State 7-3. That is on ESPN News right now. Also, you can watch it on ESPN3. As soon as we're done in Waco, we'll move that game over here on the U. We got
64-64. Kansas State looking to go to 8-4 in the Big 12. They got that big win against Kansas Monday. They beat Texas, looking to stay in contention for a conference title. Remember last year, K-State shared the regular season title with Kansas, and Baylor, they need every win they can get from here on out until the balance of the regular season. This is how it ended if you're just joining us. Final moments of regulation. Corey Jefferson shot rebounded by Isaiah Austin. Presence of mind to find Brady Heslip for the game-time three. Heslip had not made a three all game, but the Big 12's top three-point shooter came through in the clutch.
He really didn't even get set. He just kind of caught it. He knew that the clock was running out, so he just caught it, kind of just flinged it up there with not thinking. And what the heck? I haven't made one all night long. I have to make one. I'm too great a shooter, and just come off his hands perfectly. And Baylor has really done a nice job on the offensive end, but their problems at times, even on that last possession, on a simple miss on the baseline, just not running back. And especially when you're in the zone, you got to sprint back and get it set. And they just, nobody stopped the ball. And Marcus Foster just drove from basically mid-court all the way to the other side of the rim for a highlight reel dunk.
Yeah, Foster went over Jefferson. I'll tell you what, though, and that's a SportsCenter top 10 nominee, by the way. Isaiah Austin has really done a good job in the second half anchoring the middle of that Baylor defense. He's got 7 blocks in the game, and a lot of his plays near the basket, blocking shots, altering shots, have led to opportunities at the other end of the floor for Baylor.
Well, he's been Mr. Cleanup, and they use him because sometimes they overextend in pressure. That allows them to play a little bit more of an aggressive zone with the shot blocker in the back.
Jefferson drives. That went in.
He almost brought the basket support down on that one. A terrific play called by Scott Drew. Just the isolation and the pick and roll. Everybody was going left and the misdirection going back for the easy bucket.
Ball bounced back out to the court as well after the dunk. Gibson, the lead for Williams, and one. And Kansas State with a chance to take the lead if Williams can come through on the free throw.
Well, Kansas State, this is what they've done. They attack from one side and then they slide in from the back. And watch Corey Jefferson. He watches the ball. He watches the ball instead. Nino Williams, he's got to slide in front of Nino Williams. When the ball comes into the middle of the zone, the backside forward has to pinch down and cover the backside. He's way late. He's getting his head turned. He's looking at the basketball instead of sliding into the area where he has to cover. And Williams is there easily for the basket.
Last foul on Jefferson, his fourth. Williams with 20 points now, a new career high. And it's a 1-point lead for K-State. Jefferson working on Gibson, and Jefferson over Gibson. Back and forth we go. Baylor by 1.
That's the exact same play that they ran in the previous possession where Jefferson got the dunk. This time they protected the basket, but still Jefferson pinned up Gibson and used his length to shoot over the top.
Spradlin for three. Back iron. Lawrence chases down the offensive board.
Kenny Cherry's got to get that ball. He hesitated. He looked to run out. He's got to make sure you get possession first.
Foster finds Williams down low. He doesn't get the roll. Offensive rebound, Foster. And the freshman draws the foul down low. And Marcus Foster to the line to shoot two.
K-State a little slow on the recovery. And then Foster again just finding the seam in the vacuum. And the second and third effort and toughness amongst the trees by the freshman.
And that is the fifth foul on Corey Jefferson. So the senior is done. Final line for him, 21 points and 11 boards. (68-67). Marcus Foster to the line with a chance to give the Wildcats the lead. He's got 17 points and 9 assists. He was the reigning National Freshman of the Week. He dropped 34 against Texas last Saturday. Followed that up with a 20-point performance in the win Monday against Kansas. Battled some cramps in that contest. 9 assists, a career high for Foster.
Well, Corey Jefferson's just played a man's game here in this second half in overtime. And on the glass, going to the offensive boards, but also just in the last few possessions, they've just gone to him down in the box and at the rim, and he's been a tough out for Kansas State. Advantage Kansas State with him on the bench.
Foster 2 of 3 at the line today, 70% on the season, and he makes the first to tie the game at 68.
We talked about Corey Jefferson elevating his game to be, one of the elite players in this conference, and tonight he came and answered the bell.
One out of 2 for Foster. And Baylor can essentially hold for one. About a half second, if that, differential between the game clock and shot clock.
Scott Drew's going to call a timeout, set up a special play.
Kansas State 7-4 in the Big 12. Chasing Texas and Kansas for the regular season conference title. Baylor, they're 3-8. Scott Drew thinks if his team can go 8-10 in conference play, they've got a chance to get into the NCAA tournament. Baylor plays Monday against Oklahoma State. That will be the final game of Marcus Smart's 3-game suspension. That'll be in Waco. Then road games at West Virginia, at Texas, a home game against Texas Tech, a home game against Iowa State, and Baylor finishes the season at the Octagon of Doom against Kansas State.
Well, Baylor settled down in overtime, Nation. What they've done is they've gone inside, and Kenny Cherry's made the big three to get him going after he made a couple ill-advised plays at the end of regulation. But Kansas State has attacked the zone on the inside. The three started to fall. Isaiah Austin, and they went inside to Corey Jefferson.
As Baylor draws up a play here, you alluded to this during the broadcast. The Bears really don't have that one guy that can create a shot for himself. So who are you trying to get the ball to in this situation?
Well, first of all, you've got to get the ball inbounds, as NC State found out against Syracuse late in the game. That's the first thing you've got to do, inbounds the ball from the sideline. So what's happened is Scott Drew's going to his three-guard offense. He's bringing Gary Franklin in to have ball handlers. They're going to spread the court. They're probably going to run Kenny Cherry off a little high ball screen. Isaiah Austin will run down to the pick and roll play, and they'll have Heslop coming off some sort of action opposite the ball. So they'll have a perimeter guy they'll have to pay attention to, a point guard going into the lane, and Austin, the big man, rolling to the rim.
And don't sleep on Rico Gathers, one of the best offensive rebounders in college basketball. Cherry pulls up, no good. Lawrence the rebound. He tries to call a timeout. And now Steve Olson saying that Kansas State may have gotten the timeout.
At the end of the first overtime, the score tied at 68.
And now the officials discussing to see if Lawrence was able to get the timeout before time expired.
Well, it becomes one of those quandaries as a coach. Do you really want the timeout there with 0.6 seconds and then lose a timeout that you'll be able to use in the second overtime? I don't know how much time they would actually have.
I thought he got the timeout.
Right there,
Yeah,
he did.
about a half second.
He did, but was it acknowledged? You know, him calling the timeout and the referee's actually seeing it.
Yeah.
But when they have their little secret huddles over there, sometimes they figure things out on their own that no one knows.
Spoken like a coach.
We should mic those guys up for these secret huddles, because sometimes they make things, they figure it out what's best for them sometimes.
There's the timeout.
Yeah, he may have walked too, by the way.
Well, there it looked like Tom O'Neill acknowledges it after time expires. O'Neill, the referee, underneath the basket. Take another look.
Okay, here you see Lawrence get the ball off the rebound, 1.2, and he takes a step, and he calls the timeout right here, 0.07. Now, does Tom O'Neill see that? He's standing right there. Tom O'Neill, sure he saw it, so they're going to go. I think they're going to put some time back on.
Yeah, and Steve Olson, who you didn't see in the screen, may have seen that too. We had a little bit of a bizarre sequence.
I think those guys should be mic'd
well.
up.
Yeah.
They mic up these coaches in the NFL. I'd like to mic the refs.
Well, they put 0.7 of a second back on the clock, so Kansas State.
Okay, Bruce Weber is going to his bag of tricks. And
all right, Coach, what's the call here? 0.7 of a second left.
well, you've got to get something. There's no time for a dribble, so you've got to get there is time for a catch and shoot. There's two options. You're going to have maybe a Will Spradling coming off a running screen where he can catch and shoot, or throw it all the way to the rim. And number two, see if he can go up and get it. Marcus Foster. Fake in, go deep. I wouldn't doubt that man do anything wrong.
Spradling will inbound.
Back screen to the rim.
Nino Williams, catch and shoot. And we are going to overtime, number 2.
The score tied at 68.
A good one here in Waco. 68 all. Second overtime coming your way. Let's check in with the studio first, though. And Matt Schick.
Yeah, guys, about to enter the second overtime there in Waco, Texas. We're in Springfield, Missouri, over on ESPN News. Northern Iowa up on Missouri State. Again, check it out on ESPN News or ESPN3. When we're done in Waco, that game moves over to ESPNU, guys.
Well, that game in Springfield might be at halftime by the time they're done here in Waco. Great drama. Kansas State led by 9 at the half. Baylor finally was able to tie it in the second half. Down 3. Final possession of regulation. That man right there, Brady Heslip, ties the game with a 3. As the horn sounded, that sent the game into overtime, and now double overtime. And here's how it ended. Final play of regulation. Baylor down 3. Heslip, who hadn't hit a three-pointer all game.
Sometimes that happens. You just can never forget about the sniper. And Brady Heslip got his feet set. And, give both these teams tremendous amount of credit because of the fact that they both looked dead in the water and down the stretch. I thought Baylor came out of the gates very good, very balanced. But then when you've got that guy on your team, he's like Superman. He makes things happen very quickly. Now, going into this next overtime, you have to pay attention to Corey Jefferson because he's not on the floor, and he's been so important for Baylor all night long.
Jefferson fouled out in the overtime session. He leads Baylor with 21 points. Cherry's got 17. Austin has been big since halftime. He's got 16.
Well, that's an interesting chat we'll have in one of our summertime conversations when I run into these coaches here and there. And You know, do you really want to use that timeout with 0.8 seconds? I guess you're always trying to win the game, but especially when you know if nothing happens, you're going to lose that timeout. But Bruce has got one. I guess you always have to try something. You've seen every type of shot go in, and probably they had something designed to throw the ball a little bit deeper, but give Baylor a ton of credit on that defensive set with 0.8 seconds to go.
Both Kansas State bigs, Thomas Gibson
Stole
and
the
DJ
tap.
Johnson with 4 fouls. Austin working on Lawrence, 7-1 on 6-3. Austin gobbled up. And we've got a jump ball. Possession arrow, Kansas State.
Well, that's karma after Isaiah Austin stole the tap. It was right at his head and he tipped it, but he's too far out to make this play. He takes 3 dribbles and he's trying to back his way in. He's got to pitch the ball back out and try to get it on the move going to the rim, or step outside where he's a little bit more effective facing the basket.
Wildcats break the press. There's Spradling. He struggled today, just 2 of 9. Foster on the baseline. And the Sapling couldn't get it over the Sequoia. Shot clock still going. Shot clock at 1. And that is a shot clock violation.
K-State, I'm not sure they were aware. Gibson knew that Foster's shot did not hit the rim, and a lot of toughness in the lane for K-State, but Baylor feisty with their defense.
8 blocks for Austin. That matches a career high. Cherry finds Austin. And now the shot clock coming down on Baylor. Prince over Gibson, and he banks it home.
Well, I was about to say horrible shot, but I'll take it back. When you lose 4 in a row at home, sometimes you need a little bit of luck.
Kick ball on Heslop, so K-State will keep it.
He's only made 13 threes on the year, and hey, the clock's running down. And little glass, little Kevin Durant. Step back 3.
17 to shoot. Williams couldn't corral the inbounds pass. Here's Heslop leading the break. And 1.
Well, Baylor might have been lucky on the previous possession, but they weren't lucky on this one. It was good, solid, tough defense on the inbound, and Kenny Cherry just disrupted Kansas State enough, and then Brady Heslop says, I can play inside the 3-point line as well and draw a little contact at the rim.
Heslop, a 75 or 71% free throw shooter, misses the free throw. Foster. That doesn't go. And a foul against Kansas State.
Baylor may lack a little bit in width inside, but not Hart. They're playing feisty and tough right now inside. They're holding their own. And Foster just trying to muscle his way to the rim. Nothing there. And K-State clears out O'Neal. Takes one in the chest for the team.
That's in that foul on Thomas Gibson, so he's done. 12 points, 7 rebounds, and he's fouled out. So K-State without Gibson, its starting big man, and Baylor without one of its starting frontline players, Corey Jefferson, fouled out in the first overtime. And DJ Johnson into the game for the Wildcats. He's got 4 fouls. And if Johnson were to foul out, that's pretty much it in terms of a true front court center type player for Kansas State.
Can Baylor take advantage? Basically, K-State's got to find a way now to score, and Marcus Foster kind of forced his way into the lane. It was the first time all night where he just kind of didn't stay within the context of the offense, but they don't have a lot of choice. They've got to try to create a little bit more from that wing and get into the lane and penetrate into the gaps.
Baylor has its largest lead of the game on a 7-0 run. Spradling from straight away. And that brings Kansas State to within 4.
Your players have to make adjustments, and they don't have the bigs in the game. Gibson, who's their inside force as a scorer, you have to make sure you protect the line when Spradley's in your area.
Cherry breaks down the defense, gets the 2, and it's a 6-point lead.
No more turf toe for Kenny Cherry. He looks comfortable and active and gaining strength.
Williams from 18, no good, rebounded by Cherry. Now Cherry, the maestro of this offense, tries to calm things down.
Kenny Cherry has done a superb job running this team. He's made his mistakes, which all junior college point guards do in their first year, but for the most part, he has played an excellent game as the floor general.
19 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds for Kenny Cherry.
They'll be careful of the 5-second call.
Here's Prince down the lane. Now the call and 1. Down for Kansas State.
Baylor's had a lot of guys make plays. A lot of crashes in the lane.
The foul was on DJ Johnson, so he is now fouled out. There's the contact. Nino Williams took the brunt of it. So Johnson and Gibson both have fouled out for Kansas State, and that means Wesley Iwundu is at the scorer's table, so it looks like he's going to check in. He has not played much tonight.
Well, it's tough to lose in any night or anywhere you are, but when you've lost 4 in a row at home, your chest is so tight when you walk into your home building. You don't feel comfortable. You should feel comfortable when you're at home, but you feel uptight, and the pressure starts to build, and it's like, will we ever win at home again, where we have all of our friends and supporters, but then they start doubting you, and the newspaper starts doubting you, and the administration starts doubting you, and your players start doubting. Everything is a negative, and you could just see a little bit of relief on that play. Clearly the game isn't over, but Scott Drew says, finally, we're making some plays down the stretch when we need to.
Prince misses the free throw. Cherry can't get the putback. K-State still with a pulse, down by 8. Ryan Schultz into the game for Kansas State. Here's Prince with the steal and the exclamation.
Taurean Prince, he made his presence felt with that banked-in step-back 3, but forget that. The last 2 possessions to the rack in transition, and then overextension in the zone, the denial, the steal, and the thank you at the rim.
You look at Baylor's season, and it's almost followed the arc of some sort of Greek tragedy, the great rise, 12-1 in non-conference, then starting 1-6 in the Big 12. There's still time left to redeem the season as Austin gets the rebound off the Spradling miss. Lawrence blocked by Austin. 9 blocks by the big fella. And it's out of bounds to Baylor. 11-point lead for the Bears, less than a minute to play. This would be An amazing win for Scott Drew and the Bears. Down by 10 in the second half. A desperation 3 to tie it at the end of regulation. As Cherry is going to the line after he's fouled by Kansas State.
Well, give them all the credit in the world because they looked dead in the water for most of the night. And Scott Drew mixed and matched his lineups and put Brady Heslop on the bench for a long period of time and changed direction of his offense, started going inside and adjusted his defense where they tightened up the paint a little bit more and protected and just played tough and gritty down the stretch. And coming to their practice, Scott, you'd never know that they were in the position they were in. Just positive, full of energy, and finding a way tonight.
Kenny Cherry has played major minutes for Baylor today. He played 22 Wednesday against TCU. The previous 2 games really a non-factor. Played a total of 20 minutes. Missed a game because of turf toe, but Cherry, a Herculean effort, 20 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. The 12 assists, a career high, 20 points, 2 off of a career high. And Isaiah Austin's defense down low, 9 block shots. And let's not forget the contribution by Corey Jefferson. Those 3, along with that desperation 3 by Brady Heslop, is the reason Baylor's in position to win this game.
Torian Prince, it's a teaching moment. Don't go over the back. No time to score. 57 seconds to go. You're up 12. You try to get an offensive rebound, and I guess that's why coaches pull guys off the line late in the game, because you don't want that type of play where you put K-State on the line with the clock stopped.
Ryan Schultz hits the free throw, an 11-point game. Tim, if you're Scott Drew and you hold on here, and Baylor does have free throw shooting woes, so that's still a concern. But if Baylor holds on, and they should, up 11 here in the final minute, what can a win like this do for a team going forward?
Well, it's just, Oak State coming in, and they've been very close. It's not like they've been getting buried, and you just need something to get you over the hump, especially on your home court. That's the first step. Protect your home court, which they haven't done at all with 4 losses, but tonight they have. And so then they make the next move. Keep protecting the home court and getting better as a basketball team with confidence and execution and understanding that Corey Jefferson and Austin are a load inside. They have to get them involved all the time.
That last foul on Austin to prevent the breakaway.
And this is a team that beat Colorado early in the season with Spencer Dinwiddie and beat Kentucky and played Syracuse right to the last 2 minutes in Maui. So it's there. It's the same team. So, again, it's how you finish. And if Scott Drew can find those buttons that he pushed tonight and build on this, that's what you remember the last month of the season.
If they can get Oklahoma State Monday here in Waco, that would be 3 wins in a row, and then you're building some positive momentum for that stretch run. Baylor about to snap a 4-game home losing streak and on its way to going to 4-8 in conference play. Kansas State will drop to 7-5 in Big 12 play. Northern Iowa, Missouri State next here on ESPNU. We'll get you out to Springfield, Missouri as soon as this one goes final. Those 2 playing for 3rd place in the Missouri Valley Conference.
And for Kansas State, on the other side,
you got to find a way to win on the road.
Well, exactly. And tonight, clearly, they played good enough to win, but down the stretch, didn't have enough answers inside. They didn't have the depth without Southwell lacking a forward up front. And as the game wore on, the length of Baylor's front line wore them out.
Kenny Cherry with a triple-double, first by a Baylor player since Epe Udoh. Schultz off the mark on the 3. And Baylor 14.4 seconds away from a much-needed win. Kansas State had this one most of the way. Baylor, a furious run in that second half to send it to overtime. And the Bears come up with a W in double overtime. Final score, Baylor 87, Kansas State 73. Now we send you to Springfield, Missouri, Northern Iowa, and Missouri State.